Today I've got this little landscape view in a snow landscape, and we're going to play a lot with masking fluid. We're going to play with color, wet on wet, and some dry brushing, and just going to go crazy with this little scene. So good day and welcome to our watercolor journey. I've got a sketch here for you, and I will add the link in the description list. The materials I used is listed here. And now we can start with our painting. So I've got masking brushes from Heinrich, and I bought them a couple of years ago. And the way that I'm using them definitely protects the brushes, and you will be able to use them for a very long time. I'm using a very fine brush for these initial layers. First of all, I dip my brush in soap, and then I can dip it into the masking fluid. So add all the little details that you want there, and as soon as you are done with all the masking, go and rinse the brush underneath tap water or something, just to make sure that there's nothing left in the bristles of the brush. I'm really adding a lot of masking fluid in this painting just to enhance certain areas and just to get that contrast between light and dark. So now I changed over to a bigger brush. Same process. I added soap to the bristles and then dip it into the masking fluid. This is for that little wall that I've got there, because I want snow on top of the wall. And sometimes it's much easier to work this way than doing negative painting and go around each and every little space that you want to preserve in the white. But there is other options that you can use, like gouache or acrylic paint or even a Posca pen. So let your painting dry. So this is what we've got now. So I'm only going to wet the sky area, and I'm going to work around the house. And the bottom area I'm going to keep dry. And one of the wonderful things about this is your paint will not spread into the dry areas. So you can really play with your wet area, and you will not have any hassles at the bottom. This is one of the wonderful magic things about watercolor paper. Just creating a beautiful little sky there. And I'm adding some sepia in the mixes, just to create a little bit of interest in the sky. Sorry, I did cut off a little piece of the palette, and on those areas I've got French Ultramarine and permanent rose, and then next to it, it will be Sap Green. And then we go to the sepia. So now I'm just adding some trees. I'm really playing around and mixing lots of colors just to create a beautiful backdrop for those houses. As you add the color into your painting, you can see how that masking fluid is standing out and preserving the areas that you want to keep white. Everything is going to be really soft and beautiful because the sky area is wet and everything is going to fuse in a natural way. And that's the fun about mixing colors on the paper. I must say, I'm really struggling at the moment with my voice. I've got a bit of a flu, so please bear with me. So I'm just adding the darker areas of the house. So all the masking fluid is still staying on the paper, and I'm blending in a variety of colors for that little wall of mine. And there you can see again how the masking fluid is really starting to pop out. Just adding a few dabs of blue, and then I'm just blending it out with water. And then I decided also to add a few little bushes and things in the background. I'm just refining a few areas there, and I'm just adding some darks also into those bushes. I'm going in with a little bit of water in those areas that I added the color, because I don't want those hard edges at the moment. And you will see also all those bushes that I created is starting to blend into the wet areas. So a few dots and dashes to create some definition to the ground. Because even though it's snow, there's always some things that's sticking out of the snow and also lying on top of the snow areas. On this left hand side, I'm also blending out some of those harder edges and just adding a little bit of color in certain areas, just to create a little bit of interest. Just dabbing in a few more marks that will just create some more interest in those bushes in the background. And now I'm working on this little wall of mine. Now I'm also adding a little bit more shape to that little wall, so that it's got a little bit more interest and that it looks like the snow is on top of those areas. Now I'm starting with a roof. I'm doing a yellow base for it. Then I'm going to go into the sepia. And I'm also going to add a little bit of red, just to create interest in that roof. Now the painting is dry again. Now that the painting is dry, now we can start with a little house. I'm using that purple that I mixed from the French Ultramarine and Permanent Rose. Then I'm going to add some blues, because I really just want a little bit of interest and color in the house. Then I'm going in with sepia. So all those colors are going to blend together. Now I'm using my liner brush and just going to create those branches and twigs on the right hand side on that tree that we only see a part of. So play around, create interest, and I'm really making chaotic random marks there. And the masking fluid is still on the paper. Now I'm starting with that little tree in front of a big tree that's in the background. These liner brushes are really fabulous to work with. And they are really versatile. You can use a point, and you can also use the belly of a brush to create lots of interesting marks. Now I'm creating a few more grasses. Just let that brush dance on the paper, because I really want the marks to be very random and organic. As you see, I use the belly of a brush there. Because I'm working all over the paper, it just makes it look more cohesive at the end. Because your hand definitely gets tired while you're working. So if you work in different areas, things will definitely look consistent. Just playing around and creating branches and little things in the background. Just adding a few more marks, just to give a little bit more definition to certain areas in the house, and making the door a little bit darker. And some of the windows also, enhancing them. And just creating a few shadows and a few lines. And now it's time for the painting to dry again. So now we can remove the masking fluid. And as you can see, the lines are really harsh. So we will have to soften some of them a little bit. I'm using a rubber cement eraser. Very convenient. And obviously you will have to use your hand to see if there's some of the marks that's still left. So I'm just refining some of the lines. And it doesn't look like it's an outline on the roof. So just changing some of the marks where it's broken. As you can see, we've got lots of hard edges and soft edges throughout the painting, and that makes a painting really interesting. I'm just enhancing the wall again and just giving it shape and a little bit of definition. Now I'm adding extra layers to the grasses because they have more in the foreground, so they need to be more defined. Just playing around with shapes and making them interesting, and that they can look more organic. Just enhancing a few darks in the tree. And now once again it's time for the painting to dry. So now we can go in with our final details. Just enhancing some darks, creating more shape, and just see where your painting just needs a little bit more work. Just breaking up some of those lines, but it's not so harsh, because we really want to play the contrast between light and dark throughout the painting. It's so much fun to do these final little details to see what's needed and just creating that final painting that you're satisfied with. This is a part where you definitely see everything coming together, and then you can decide if you're happy with this and if you maybe want to redo a painting. Just adding a few shadows underneath the grasses and the trees, and a few random marks, just so that we've got some distant areas and some areas that's coming more to the foreground. As you can see, the little liner brush can give beautiful dry brush marks. And we signed it, and then this will be our final painting. So please like, subscribe and comment for me. So thank you very much. See you next time.